Welcome to the Trust Factor Radio, bringing you interviews and insights to unlock the power of the subconscious mind to create authority, credibility, and trust. With your host, the Authority Architect and best-selling author, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Nando Cabán-Méndez. He is the owner of Ally Digital in Austin, Texas, and he helps established product businesses grow their online sales with best-in-class e-commerce solutions. Nando brings more than 25 years of multi-disciplinary experience in design, entrepreneurship, and marketing to his role as e-commerce consultant. As a multidisciplinary designer for over 2 decades, he designed for print, web, industrial, environmental graphics, product and sportswear design, online user experience, and interfaces. His entrepreneurship experience includes startups in manufacturing, online retail, and B2B services. A decade in online marketing included co-founding and building a successful, fully integrated digital marketing agency, and Nando now uses these skills and years of experience to build and grow businesses with best-in-class e-commerce solutions and systems. And in his spare time, you might find him riding his bike around Austin, the mountain bike trails there, and occasionally to Sunday brunch. Well, that definitely sounds exciting. Nando, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you've been in the industry for quite a while. You've got lots of experience. Tell us, how Ally Digital came about.
Digital. Well, this was kind of like a return, a homecoming of sorts. You read in my I now realize kind of long introduction. I had a lot of experience in design and in general, and as a cyclist, I wanted to have some just innovative design clothing. So I started a clothing brand in around 2008, and that quickly turned into e-commerce, into digital marketing, into everything having to do with the digital space. And I actually found 2 things. I didn't want to make cycling my gig. It's for fun. I didn't want to be discussing business on every ride. Also, vendors are really challenging to work with. But what I was finding more success was in marketing, my business online. So that's what I focused on. And that took me down that path about January 2010. Actually, January 23rd, 2010, I lost my job, and I had a nice design studio job, really good, actually. And just the recession finally caught up with me in a studio that had started with, when I got there, it was 45 people, and there were like 8 of us the day I was laid off. And as I walked out of there, I didn't feel like I wanted to do that anymore. It was really, kind of shell shocking. So I figured, well, I've been doing this side gig with the cycling, and e-commerce and marketing for e-commerce. So I started doing more of that. 2012, I partnered, and we formed a company called Sync Digital Marketing. That was a complete flat fee, full service concept. That partnership didn't work, but we did crank it up to, on our way to $250,000 within 18, months. And a lot of work, madness. Everything had to do with digital marketing. As we parted ways in 2014, I just kind of stumbled along. I was kind of finding my way, and I figured, well, what do I really enjoy out of all these things that we were doing? And I realized what I'm really like is finding these solutions for businesses that to me are pretty obvious, But for a lot of business owners, are too busy or it's just not their expertise, and they get all these calls all the time. Someone's always hitting them up for something. We all get 100 emails for SEO services, right? Quote unquote SEO service, among other things. And chat after chat, I was doing a lot of talks and different freelance and meetup groups, and time and again, the answers tend to be around the basics, really.
Right. And I think, people fall into their businesses just like you have a love of cycling. People might have a love of their businesses, but it's really the marketing behind it that generates the clients and keeps the business going. And what you find is that, you're no longer doing the stuff that you like to do. You become the marketer of your business, because that is the primary function that's going to make your business a success. So I think many people fall into, that same category right there and need that marketing help.
Yeah. And so the trap with that is that, there are some people, and I've met some extraordinary business owners that are like these born marketers, right? They are a personality on their own right. And they know how to work it for the business, and they do it naturally. It doesn't come across as contrived, and so they're successful that way. But for a lot of businesses that I've encountered, I've dealt with a lot of small businesses up until now. Like this year is where I've started to get a little more, just a mid-market type businesses. But a lot of the small businesses, they really, it's like they don't want to do it. It's really weighing on them. Like it's like a really unpleasant. They feel like they're just tugging themselves up too much or something. So they really prefer to do their trade,
right.
So this is very common in all businesses that I've encountered, or like the majority of them, I should say. Well, but with e-commerce, it's kind of pervasive because people think they're just going to build a store and that somehow traffic people just get there.
Well, let's talk about e-commerce, because obviously Amazon is, just taking over things. It gets so much news with Jeff Bezos being the richest man in the world by a long stretch now. E-commerce definitely has a lot of attraction to it, and it's if you can get it to work, it is a very good business. So talk to me about some of the issues that people have with e-commerce and why they come to you for help, Nando.
Well, so the first thing that it's probably worth mentioning is that there's a trend of e-commerce that is kind of like back in decade and a half ago, there was the internet marketing. And internet marketing really meant that you were putting out these websites with easy SEO because it was easy back then. And you would be selling prepaid phone cards or anything, a lot of affiliate marketing, but we learned that digital marketing is really marketing online. So right now what happens with e-commerce, a lot of people interpret that to mean the e-commerce, the little white paper or seminar that they watch where someone teaches them how to drop ship and all that. That's really not what I focus on. No problem with that. It is more challenging than people think, and it has its tricks. But really what I like to work with is clients that have their own products, or they found and sourced some really unique products, and they actually sell physical goods that they, whichever way they deliver them, but they're vested in this business. They have really a brand, and that's really where it's at for them. So for those clients, the biggest problem is feeling confident about their choices to promote the business, because they get hit with so much stuff. So once we talk, I can teach him, no, you don't need to do this, or I help him evaluate why a solution may be misguided for them. And sometimes the solution is to just drop the one that they thought was good and then just keep on doing whatever they're doing, because they may be already good enough. They just get distracted by, the new shiny objects of social media and some new quote unquote technique to get more leads, when really what they need to do is the basic is word of mouth online and paid advertising, because there's kind of no way around that.
Right, and with the paid advertising as well, it's really all a numbers game. If you know your numbers and you can make it work, it just makes sense to drive traffic and leads via paid advertising. That's something that you can scale.
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of people, especially the newer, I guess it's true for most of them anyways, they all want to know about SEO. I guess there's a lot of mention of SEO in some of those business improvement shows or whatnot. And people know the acronym. Some of them know what it means, but a lot of people have no idea what it actually entails. So I see a lot of questions and I hear a lot of questions that are rather advanced for SEO. And when we look at their systems and their technology, it's still in such a basic, unconsidered way that it needs, they actually stand more to gain by taking care of the basics than bothering with some advanced, effort to get some guest blogging that actually gets some, some more exposure. They're not there yet because they don't have the foundation ready.
Right. Yeah. You've got to have a business, you've got to have a business, you've got to have money coming in. And a great way to get that money coming in is having a paid campaign that is going to make sales.
Yep.
I'm sure most people realize that SEO is a long play anyway, and might say, okay, well, if I don't have to pay for the leads and the sales in the long run, and I can get free traffic from SEO, it makes sense. But you certainly got to start bringing the money in.
Yeah, free traffic. That's one of the favorite to hear. Free traffic. There's no such thing. When I tell them, if you're going to do SEO and you really mean it, you're going to be producing content. If you're smart, you're going to be making video, or you're going to be using multimedia in some way or another. And guess what that costs? It costs money, time, and effort. It is evergreen, so it's a long-lasting investment if you do it right. Not just that, paid advertising, helps you fine-tune keywords like nothing else. There's no better test for what you think people are searching for than them clicking through and paying for it. And then SEO, I like to focus on the basics and the technical SEO that goes on the website, and just really do a very thorough job of that. All the missed opportunities, which in e-commerce tend to be kind of dramatic, because I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy to overlook.
Right. Well, let's talk about some of the specifics there, Nando, with the technical optimization of the page in order for it to be found. What are you looking to include, and what do you see people miss?
All right. So for a lot of stores, and depending on how they're built in the CMS, but for most of them, the categories are really good for what's called the short tail words. For anyone listening to this, if they listen to the podcast and they see a lot of SEO content, they probably already know what this means. But in the short tail are words that are really difficult to get good results with, because they're very competitive. Like if I sell T-shirts, it's really, really challenging. I don't want to say impossible, but I wouldn't bet the farm on it. So, but if you sell a very, the categories are built a certain way, and it's more specific. Categories by their very nature are considered to have more weight, even if it's a competitive word. So it's a really good space to put focus on and put good descriptions and illustrate maybe an image or two, and just try to get those category pages be more meaningful, because there's a good chance that they could positively affect the business. Then as you drill down to the actual products themselves, descriptions and the product names tend to be grossly, under considered, and it's probably because it's really tedious. I mean, you're talking about how much can you describe a copper, a hand-hammered copper cup, for instance,
Right.
Right? How much can you put in that description that is relevant and helpful in terms of SEO? It is very challenging. But my point when I talk with clients and they present these objections is that, listen, I'm not saying you need to write like an award-winning SEO content here. It's just that if you take a stab at it, you're probably doing more than your competitor is. And that's worth something.
Definitely.
Just do a little more.
So talking about the SEO and being found for SEO, is there any specific thing that helps for the paid campaigns as well? When you are doing everything right, you get authority, you get all these signals that suggest that you are the result for the queries that people are searching for. I think the artificial intelligence that's going into search engines is making this more interconnected. When people are searching, a lot of people are searching with voice. So the search query is a lot more sophisticated as well, because it's a sentence. I like to find you call to your voice assistant, your phone, and you do a query that is a sentence asking for, well, I'm looking for a place nearby that installs hitches on Volkswagen cars. It's a mighty specific search query that if you know exists or come close to it, artificial intelligence will connect if it's not already. I'm not an expert on that deep into how this is working, but you get it from a lot of the experience that you see people having with the results, which is pretty remarkable. Our search engines are getting to understand really what we mean, not just the simple structure of the keywords in a sentence. That's right. I mean, people used to search with 2 to 3 keywords to find the best results, and now they're just talking to their computer, to their laptop, to their phones. How is that changing the SEO that people have to do for their sites?
I think it's helping in that it just needs to be more natural when it comes to the content. When it comes to technical, the basics have pretty much stayed true for the longest time. You want your product title is usually the H1 tag, which is recognized to be the most meaningful, information about what's on that page. You want to do, you want to have images that are labeled properly, that have tags correct, that are informative, I should say. You want to connect all this to your search engine consoles. You want to, have a sitemaps. I mean, all the it's a bunch of checklist items really for technical. And then when it comes to the content, I think what we have is more freedom to write in a way that's natural to humans. And what you do is you consider what kind of words you want to be using, but you can be free to express it in a way that someone might just describe your product to someone else at a party.
Right.
My teenage kid, loves the t-shirt. It really shows her whatever hip term that I'm not privy to right now. It can actually get your cool design to show up because you just describe it in the same way. So it's really about knowing the audience and how they talk and what they would describe this thing like, and then exploit that in your content.
So how do you find those questions? Because, when you went to Keyword Planner or some of the other keyword tools out there, they are searching for these very common 2 to 3 words, keyword phrases. But now with so many people asking questions, there isn't the same kind of search volume. So how do you really focus on the right questions to be answering?
Well, I mean, this is when it goes more into marketing. I want to, just to be clear, I don't offer that marketing service anymore. I mean, with clients that consult, they get the advantage that I know this. I stick now to the systems and the functional aspect of their online business. And I'm happy to refer to experts in the specific industries that we may be talking about. But what I recommend to them is that, yes, we do a keyword search. I'm a big fan of Raven tools, which I've been using now for years, because I think keyword research is important foundational work for this effort. What happens is, typically what happens almost invariably, I'll ask clients and we have a conversation about the personas and what they talk, and we come up with a starter set of words, right? And when we run them through the tools, usually what happens is we find some surprises,
right?
Things that they had no idea. People will refer to them. Some of them may say, well, that's incorrect. And you say, well, I don't care. You're going to use it, if nothing else, to make the point that is incorrect, because I mean, as you do that, you need to remain flexible and really monitor and see what works best, which is where paid advertising works really great. Yeah. Because paid advertising, you're also going after interests. I'm talking Facebook now. If you're going after interests and going all the related aspects that you can use to target your audience, it's kind of like learning to speak the way they do. And then you take that back to your SEO, right? And it's just this continuous cycle of learning what works, fine-tuning it on the technical side, and doing it again. It's really continuous.
Yes, it's all about knowing your customer, knowing their language, knowing how they speak.
Yeah.
So you're able to relate to them. So let's talk about some of the opportunities. What opportunities are available these days with e-commerce? Where do you see massive growth happening right now?
Forecasting. I don't know that I know that much. I think I think the trends which have been showing for you see them year after year, except every year they make it higher to on the list of top 10 trends. They may make it to the top. Personalization is big. Personalization in every aspect. Personalization of the product, personalization of the experience on the website, personalization in the communication with people. I think with personalization also suggests an intimacy, which is why you see a lot more use of like Facebook Messenger for actually taking orders, not just customer service, not just like chit-chatting about or So the making the entire experience more personal down to the product is probably one of the biggest ones.
And this is all with computer generated systems that you're able to put in place.
Yeah, and there's a good mix of them, right? At the very basic level, a lot of people who have a Facebook, business owners that have a Facebook page, don't know that their messenger can answer quite smartly if they're away from a desk, and they can set the conditions of what that is. And of course, when they're off regular hours, this is the default basic settings for Messenger. At a more advanced level, Shopify has a kit, I think it's what it's called, which is an app that actually does a pretty good effort of using AI to communicate with your visitors, and it helps select ads and like the entire functions of using like Facebook to market your business. And there are other more sophisticated solutions in the market. By sophisticated in this case, I also mean more expensive, but it doesn't have to be like, there's no need to go crazy. Just setting up a chat and making sure there is someone to actually respond and that this person actually knows what they're talking about. Now, of course, that's a lot more work than it sounds like. But just doing that can close sales that otherwise wouldn't happen. Because people have a question, they have a quick, like when someone asks on a chat, they ask about a product, the wallet is out, the credit card is ready to go. They want to buy. They're just wanting to make sure that they're buying the right thing. So that opportunity is massively overlooked by a lot of small e-commerce businesses.
Really? I wanted to ask, where are we on that, cycle with using these chat bots and things to enhance the customer service and the sale? Are we talking less than 5% of people using that?
I wouldn't presume to know exact statistics, but it's really rare. It's kind of rare to see, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've like you, probably on a bunch of different email lists and connected with people on Facebook, and I do see it from a couple of people, but it's certainly not widespread at all.
No, and another one that's really easy, and I have a pretty good sense of why this is. Another one that is also very accessible. It used to be this was enterprise software only. But it's something as simple as the abandoned cart recovery, which is now built into the second tier for a lot of the, for like Shopify, BigCommerce, and a lot of the other SaaS. Or you can use a third-party cart recovery. And what it does is it tracks when the person went to your store and left, and then emails them, offering at first, any series of emails any way that we set it up. And I think the number one reason that gets overlooked or underutilized is because it takes extra setup to really make it work. It takes really thinking through, okay, what does my first email read like? What is it that I say on that first email to the person who just abandoned the store? And then what do I do in the second one? And the third one, how many is too many? How much of a discount, if any, do I want to give? So all those decisions for the busy business owner are really overwhelming on a regular day. So I like to guide them with some starter messages and basically get them to, okay, is this one good? Yes or no? How will you make it better? And just guide them to build that email that can be successful. Right. In getting someone back and closing the deal.
I mean, and those kinds of things can really make a huge difference to the bottom line for all the people that leave. If you can, get a percentage of them back to buy, especially with an automatic setup, I mean, that's easy money to be able to get if you can put some of these systems in place.
Yeah, so, recovery for those is pretty high.
Well, Nando, talk to me about somebody that you've worked with, that you've been able to consult with them and put some of these systems in place for their business. What did it mean to them?
I have a client that we migrated. We migrated from Shopify to BigCommerce because he wanted to implement a lot of things that are built into the BigCommerce platform. And it was also kind of a messy store that, a lot of these stores get set up ad hoc. One day they figure, well, I sign up and I add a couple products and this is the price. And the thing just grows organically as it did in his case, because it's a beautiful, beautiful product. And this is the hammered, copper, products. It started with a cup almost by accident. So it's like you mentioned earlier, you kind of fell into the business. But once it grew to a certain size, the store was becoming kind of unmanageable, not just on the store, but like the business, because of the way the store was set up and the products were set up. So as we started talking, what became apparent is that his Sku system, his way to manage the inventory was so off that he really didn't have a clear picture of how many of anything he had at any point. Of course, he had a pretty good amounts of most products, But if he was running low on one, he really didn't have a clear way of understanding and seeing that. So people think, well, you're going to do an e-commerce site, so you design a beautiful site and you go into making it pretty and all that stuff. But then, no, we really want to look at your product and operations first to see if they sustain the kind of growth that a better store can bring. And if nothing else, makes it more profitable to have a smoother operation. So we spent about 2 months working on redoing the Sku system and all that entails. Because, of course, now he has to go into his accounting software and we need to do updates. And I even made a table of the before, like old number, new number. To this day, everything else worked out great. We're now evolving that store, a year later. But to this day, every time we talk about it, he mentions, this is the nicest, most unexpected thing that I got from this, because it's helped with their shipping. It's helped them. They also sell through Amazon. There are Amazon vendors, so they actually, Amazon buys their stuff to sell. Mm-hmm. And so it needs to be packaged and labeled and accounted for in a very specific, just very strict way. So they now have a system where they feel that they're not lost because they have good Sku system, a system that allows for growth. Like numbers are designed in a way that you can insert 3 new products and know exactly what they should be called because there's a method to it.
Right.
Yeah, so we did that, and then we work on the categories. Before we even touch anything about design, we work on the categories. And it's funny because a lot of businesses want to categorize every minute little thing. And when you're looking at, say, barware, your spoons are not, your bar spoons are not a category. They belong in the barware category, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, shaker, the all those things belong in a category. The category is barware. And if I'm looking for barware category, it's probably very competitive, but because you have solid content, there's a good chance someone will find this high-end, copper barware set and be more interested in it. Just because it's amazing to look at, for one thing.
Yeah.
So we work on the categories. We had to trim it down, fine-tune it down. I help them to no, listen, all these belong on the bowls. Whether it's a decorating bowl, it's a salad bowl, it's another matter. And once we did all that, at that point we have enough information. We have an information architecture that helps us design around it, and that's what we did. And so we designed a new website that's a lot easier to navigate, that brings the product front and center and rotates the product in a way that they can select, well, I'm going to feature this, or we have this new product, let's feature it on the homepage. And that's just really good for business, because now it's an organized store,
But yes, having efficient systems like that is not only better to make your business run smoother, but the efficiency of these systems oftentimes helps the bottom line as well. So you got more peace of mind knowing that your business is running smoothly, but you're also making more money and profits because you've got a smooth flowing business.
Yeah.
Well, Nando, this has been very interesting to learn about some of the e-commerce problems that people are having and your solutions to setting things up in a way that makes things easier for your client and, of course, helps the bottom line profits too. If somebody listening to this wants to reach out to you, Nando, what's the best way for them to do that?
allydigital.net, on the website. They can email me at nando@allydigital.net. That's NAND as in David, O, @allydigital.net. But if they just Google Nando Journeyman, I'm all over the web with that name. So, that's like my web name from back when that's what you had online.
Right, exactly. Well, Nando at allydigital.net, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. Well, I'll make sure I've got that information in the show notes. Nando Cabán-Méndez, thank you very much for being my guest on Trust Factor Radio today.
Thank you very much, Neil.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to the Trust Factor Radio with Neil Howe. To learn about the resources mentioned in the show and to listen to past episodes, go to thetrustfactorradio.com. To get a copy of the book, The Trust Factor, go to thetrustfactorbook.com. If you are ready to act now and build your authority, credibility, and trust, schedule a consultation with Neil at theauthorityarchitect.com.